Welcome to this masterclass on AI. My name is Angela Sedran. If you weren't available last week to attend my keynote at the Psycho National Conference, this is for all of you who asked me to record it because you missed it. And for those of you wishing to watch it again, or you might be a team member who wasn't at the conference, welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about how to use AI to elevate your business quickly and easily. This is essentially a class for beginners. You don't have to be a tech head to use AI, and you certainly don't have to be a tech head to begin to start using AI. So let's get into it. Now, today we're going to cover three essential areas. We're going to have a very brief look at AI and your business, your industry, and how it could be affecting your industry and your business, and how it certainly is going to bring about some changes. Then we're going to look at some examples of the way AI could be used in your business. I will give you some examples of tools to go with that. And then I'm going to actually delve into a tool that I absolutely love. I highly recommend as your first tool for AI, and that is ChatGPT. And I'm going to teach you a skill today called prompt engineering. Not only that, I'm also going to show you how you can get my free toolkit, which is a fantastic library of tools for ChatGPT, including prompt and primer templates. And I'll explain to you how to use those when we get to that section of the presentation. A little bit about me. I'm not going to talk a lot about me, but hopefully there's enough images and icons on there to actually show you that I do reasonably know what I'm talking about. I do have a background in business administration. I've worked in corporate, I've worked in management consulting, but my real sweet spot is helping businesses and business owners build their capability so that that business is able to scale seamlessly. And I know that many of you at Psycho who own crane businesses don't necessarily have a business background. You're highly skilled at anything to do with cranes. You are brilliant at the technology. You have the technical skills, but not necessarily the business skills. I'm here to support you to do that. I've used this particular photo of me in the slide, much to my son's embarrassment, because this is an AI-generated photo. I have to be honest, I do quite like it. But you can see looking at it, it's done a fairly reasonable job. It's very similar to what I look like, maybe a hell of a lot better than what I actually look like. But it hasn't quite got that true life feel to it yet. It still looks like a drawn image. This one was generated with an app if you want to download it on your phone just to have a play, called My Mood AI. Alrighty, well, let's get to the nuts and bolts of it. So let's talk a little bit about AI and your business and where we're at. My friends, when it comes to AI, we really have crossed the Rubicon. There is no turning back from it. It is here, and it is very much here to stay. So we're at a point now where it's really a question of adapt or die in your business. And any business that is fearful of this change is going to be replaced. You cannot hold it off for much longer. In fact, the longer you hold it off, the harder it's actually going to be to start using it, because as you leave it longer and longer, so you're getting further and further behind the 8 ball. I wanted to bring in the story of when they initially brought steam engines in, when train travel was introduced to the US. At that point, you had horses and carriages or you had trains. And people were so fearful of this technology that there were rumors going around that if a woman was on these trains at high speed, her uterus would go flying out the window. I don't know why the uterus specifically, not the other organs, but there you have it. There was going to be moral decay. Apparently, they were going to spread moral decay all around the world. And of course, there was going to be increased violence, because when men travel at high speed, as we all know, they start fighting with each other and having punch-ups. So my point is, there's always going to be fear around this. We've got to overcome that now, because AI is here to stay, just like the internet is here to stay. The difference is this is progressing a lot more rapidly than the internet has. Every day I'm seeing changes come through. And the changes are so rapid, in fact, that whilst businesses sit around and scratch their heads and governments sit around and scratch their heads and think about what policies and laws they should bring in, this thing's already traveled past them 100 times at lightning speed. It's going to be up to us to start taking this on and figuring out for ourselves, as this thing is developed, how we use it and how we use it ethically as well, because obviously there's some ethical concerns in terms of AI. I'm not going to get into those today, but I'm certainly going to acknowledge that they are there. The other thing I'm going to say to you is that You have an incredible opportunity right now because your early adopters of AI are going to have a real unique competitive advantage. And you essentially have this available to you at this point on a silver platter. So let's talk a little bit about how you could be using AI to put you at the forefront of your industry and how you could start actually getting ahead of your competitors using this wonderful tool because it is wonderful. Before I go on, here's some fantastic news. I love this quote from Erasmus, and it is so, so topical right now. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. I'll say that again. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And what that effectively means is that you don't have to be a genius at AI. You've just got to start using it and experimenting because everybody else right now in your industry who's ignoring it, they are in the land of the blind. But you are already one step ahead of that game. So I want to congratulate you for watching this. I want to congratulate you for even starting to explore what AI could mean for your business because you right now are that one-eyed man. All right, so a lot of people have this fear that AI is going to replace us, and there's no question that it's going to replace certain jobs. The internet replaced certain jobs, and yes, AI probably will. But if we're looking at a world where AI replaces you completely, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict the future. I don't know where AI is going to go. But certainly all indicators at this point are saying that AI is an enhancement of you and your skills. And that is how I suggest you use it in your business. AI can give you the most unbelievable leverage. I hate writing proposals. I'm not bad at it, but I hate writing them. Generally, I procrastinate till the last minute, and they can take me up to 10 hours by the time I've thought it through, I've edited it, I've fiddled around with it, plus a bit of procrastination mixed into that. Now with ChatGPT, I pump them out in about an hour and a half, sometimes an hour. So I've literally gone from a process that takes me 10 hours to a process that takes me an hour or an hour and a half. And that's a saving of 8 to 9 hours of my time. Whether I use that for something else for my business or whether I use that to just literally go and put my feet up. This tool is $29 a month. It is unbelievable. Or 22 US dollars a month. I cannot recommend it enough. And it can be anything that you want it to be in your business. This is the beautiful thing. It can be a VA on steroids for you, or it could be your chief marketing officer and copywriter, or it could even be a really smart peer to actually bounce ideas off. I use it for that all the time. And if I'm developing a new product, I actually talk to ChatGPT about it. And sometimes it might even give me really brilliant ideas, or it might actually point out to me what my blind spots are. It really is a fantastic way, if nothing else, to outsource your lower value tasks. So the stuff you really, really don't enjoy doing, the grunt work, the dross, really the down in the weeds stuff that is not necessarily building your business or building value into your business. Now, at this point, I know you probably feel like you're drinking from a fire hose, and I acknowledge that. So I want you to take a deep breath. If you are feeling scared at the moment and thinking, whoa, this is just too much for me, take a deep breath. We're going to take this one step at a time. Let's get through this because I don't want you walking away from this today not looking at the possibility of AI in your business, because I promise you, once we plow through this and the content starts settling and you start processing it, this is where you are actually going to start seeing the value and really capturing the value in your business. So with that, let's move on to the next section, which is all about an overview of AI tools that can help your business. Let's have a look now at some of the applications of AI and how those can help your business. Before I go on though, I acknowledge that there is an absolute plethora of tools out there. There's new ones literally every day that come out. And for that reason, I'm going to suggest that you focus on ChatGPT. But you may want to experiment further. So I've promised you this toolkit. This is what it looks like. It is in Google Sheets, which means I'll give you the link for it. You can access it, download it to your drive, add to it, subtract from it. It's completely yours. You have a list of a number of products that I have worked with and that you could look at if you want to. There are some I recommend. And as you start progressing and getting more comfortable with AI, I would suggest that you actually do that. I've also given you a library of prompts and primers and shown you how to actually create your brand voice. There's a step-by-step instruction guide in your toolkit as well. So I'll give you the link to that towards the end of this. One little disclaimer I do want to make. I don't work for any company related to AI. My speciality is actually helping you build your business's capability and your capability to run your business. So I'm purely providing you with information and knowledge on AI because it is a fantastic tool that I think everybody should be using at the moment. And it fits in with my business as well. So I have no affiliations with these businesses. The first way you can start thinking of using AI in your business is for customer engagement. Here are 3 ways that you can already start using it. Number 1, chatbots and virtual assistants. Chatbots these days are extremely intuitive. So the days where you would go in and ask it a question and it would keep giving you a stupid response, or you would phone an automated system and it would give you stupid, frustrating responses. If you were anything like me, I ended up yelling at them and just getting so cross and frustrated with them. Those days are starting to disappear. Chatbots are becoming very smart, very intelligent. It would cost around about $1,000 to install a chatbot specific to your business on your web page, and they can be trained with things like the most frequently asked questions that your customers would ask. Plus, you can actually train it to speak with a certain voice and a certain tone as well. So it doesn't have to sound robotic at all. The next way to use it is through personalized marketing. AI, and particularly ChatGPT, I find it incredibly useful to help me plow through a mountain of social media content for my business. Social media content can take a lot of time to create. I don't specifically go and tell AI just to go for your life and create it. I do direct it in terms of what I want it to say, because I'll give it a brief overview of the situation. I'll tell it more or less what I need it to write, and I will give it a framework within which to write it. So for example, this week I'm launching my Profit Pulse. It's a little cost-effective $49 diagnostic tool for business. I want ChatGPT to help me create a week of posts around that, where it talks about something valuable in terms of the process of diagnosing your business. I might talk about one of the elements of the 5P profit formula. So let's say I was talking about the importance of diagnosing your pipeline or your people in your business and what that might look like. So like I'm talking to you now, I would have that conversation with ChatGPT. I would share my thoughts with it. I would give it direction in terms of the type of things I wanted to delve into. I might give it my opinion in terms of a few things and say, look, I need you to write the content based on what I've told you. Go away and generate some ideas for me. And it'll do that literally within 10 seconds. And from there, I'll look through them like I would if I was actually talking to a person and briefing them and coaching them through how to do it for my business. I would say to them, yep, like that. This one, not so crazy about that idea. How about you add this? And I work with it in this iterative way until we actually get a set of posts that work for me for the week. And usually that would take me a few hours to do on a Sunday. If I was really in the mood, I might even do 2-3 weeks worth on a Sunday or a Monday afternoon, and I would get all of it done. That would cost me an absolute fortune if I got a copywriter to do it. And it also would take me a lot longer if I tried to do it myself. I don't particularly enjoy that writing process. So hugely, hugely valuable for me. Now, in your industry, in the crane industry, but you are a B2B type marketing situation. So if you were on social media, I would certainly be trying to position you as the thought leader in your space, as well as really push your unique selling proposition. What sets you apart in your business? What are your business's values? What makes you a bit more fun to work with? Why should your clients want to work with you? These are all the things that you can start talking to ChatGPT about, because it'll start generating content for you, or at least give you ideas on the types of things that you could talk about. If you don't even know where to start in terms of your social media, literally sit down with it and say, hey, this is my business. I know nothing about social media. Suggest which platform you think I should work on, or I do want to work on LinkedIn more. Let's concentrate on that. Can you help me come up with a marketing plan? But the one thing I always do is I will always say to it, this is gold, please remember this. What questions do you have? Because ChatGPT has a world of knowledge on there, but it's not going to do something that if you don't tell it to do that. And it's not going to give you ideas if you don't ask for ideas. So always say to it, what questions do you have? Or do you need to know anything else from me to get this job done? I even sometimes say to it, am I missing missing something? Am I not seeing something? It's just the most wonderful tool. And I'm so excited to be sharing it with you today because I know that when you really start using it, it's going to make a huge difference in your business. The third element that you could use it for customer engagement is video and speech. Now, this is an area where we really are starting to head into, I think, some grey waters in terms of ethics and even safety in terms of you and your business. We're not far off from AI taking a series of our pictures, studying our face, and creating images of us for facial recognition. And the writer's strike we had in Hollywood last year was because AI not only can probably start writing scripts, in some instances better than we can as people, it also is at the point where it can almost start generating movie content with an actor's face and even his voice without that actor even being involved in that movie. So the real question there is, who actually owns that right? Can I go and sell my face to Hollywood for $1 billion and then they can use me as much as they want in their movies? Or do I pay on a per pay basis? Or if they scrape my image off the internet, can they just go and do that? Or my voice, for example. AI can, in fact, replicate your voice. It is scary stuff. The next tool or way of using AI in your business is project management. Now, depending on the size of your business, you may use a smaller tool like Monday or Trello, or you may use something that's a bit more on steroids if you're a much bigger business to do advanced scheduling. The industry certainly is going to use enhanced scheduling and much more powerful tools. But if you're a smaller business, something like Monday.com and Trello are perfect tools for your business to really improve the efficiency of the way you manage your projects. Now, these aren't AI tools per se. They have been around as project management tools. Trello is very simple to use, and it's based on Kaizen, which is a Japanese system of literally making lists. And the lists could be for anything from processes to tasks, whatever you can think of. But it's very simple, which is why I love it. It's very cheap. In fact, there's a free version of it, and they're now starting to integrate AI into it. So you probably start seeing more of that in your industry. And if you already use those tools, I would start looking at how to do that. Otherwise, again, as I said, stick to ChatGPT for the time being. Operations management is certainly one that you're going to see a lot more of in your industry. These are big, heavy AI tools. Companies like IBM are producing them. They're producing them for things like fleet management for aircrafts at airports. And I would imagine that the big construction companies are probably going to start using the similar tools to this for operations management and predictive maintenance. Predictive maintenance for machinery is going to be a really important tool, and that's going to grow quite rapidly in any heavy industry where you're using heavy machinery like cranes, mining, construction, all those sorts of industries. And then finally, I wanted to talk about data analysis. If you don't love numbers, the good news is that AI can make sense of them incredibly quickly. You see, the wonderful thing about AI is it's highly, highly analytical. Think of it like a Mr. Spock from Star Trek. Unfortunately or fortunately, we humans tend to behave more like Homer Simpson. We are much more emotion-based, and that's something AI is not going to be at this point. Can they teach it emotions? Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. But it's very good at the analytical and the logical side of things. So if you really hate data analysis, if you'd rather stab yourself in the left temple with an ice pick than go through a spreadsheet, this is an absolutely perfect tool for you. Again, there are specialized tools that can do it, but even ChatGPT can analyze a CSV file or a spreadsheet. I've seen ChatGPT take data from a Facebook page's analytics page, put it into ChatGPT and say, analyze this data, find the posts that you think have performed extremely well and study them. And then I want you to create me 10 posts based on what you've learned from the data, because those posts are going to be the ones that perform best because you've used data from my best performing posts to create them. Now, that's really, really powerful. That's the type of stuff you pay an agency a lot of money to do. So in your industry, for example, what you may do is you may take your crane maintenance data, for example, and put that into the system and pull insights out of that that will allow you to do I don't know, just-in-time maintenance, for example, or ordering parts just in time. I don't know how you use data in your industry, but certainly if we ever work together, it's something we can work out. It could even be something as simple as looking at the last 5 years of your business results, of your P&Ls, and starting to look for trends and dig into those, because numbers on their own are only so useful. It's really when you start digging into them and looking at things like conversion rates, or certainly in sales, it's one thing to look at 5 salespeople and go, okay, well, this guy's selling more than this person. And on the surface, that's helpful. But if I actually looked at data beyond that to say, well, person A is selling more than person B, but person A earns 5 times what person B does. So actually, person B is a better return on investment because I'm paying them 60 grand and they're making $120,000 of sales, but person A is selling $1 million worth of sales, but I'm paying him 5 million. The data is really going to start making a big difference to your business because it's going to really help you with decision making. Good data analysis improves decision making, and I can definitely see this could help you. But again, you don't need special tools for this. Start with baby steps, use ChatGPT, and work from there. And finally, we're going to talk about ChatGPT, and we're going to talk about a skill called professional prompt engineering. Sounds really fancy. It's not. Professional prompt engineering is essentially how to talk to your AI in a way that gets the best result out of it. So there are 2 essential skills in terms of prompt engineering. One is priming and one is prompting. Priming essentially is setting the scene for the AI. For example, if I was to say to my ChatGPT, go and come up with 20 business ideas, I haven't primed it in any way. I haven't said to it, hey, I live in this part of the world. I want to work so many hours a week. I'm prepared to invest X amount of money. These are my interests. These are the things I absolutely loathe doing. What I'd like you to do is come up with 20 business ideas that you think would work for me. There, I've actually primed it. I've given it some context. Prompting is how you then give the instruction. So to say to something, okay, now you know more or less what the world is that you're working in. I want you to go away and write 6 social media posts. What does that mean? Am I writing for Instagram? Am I writing for Facebook, LinkedIn? Who is the audience? Who am I in fact speaking to? And what do I want them to do? What do I want to communicate with these posts? Is there a strategic purpose for my posts? So if I prime and prompt it so that it knows exactly everything it needs to know about my business and maybe my clients, and then I say to it, okay, 6 social media posts, bing, 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 bing. These are the points that I need you to cover or things I need you to think about. You are going to get a much better result than if I just said, hey, go and write 6 posts. Because just like I would be talking to somebody in my business who is new to my business, who doesn't know anything about it, if I went and hired a social media manager tomorrow, but I didn't give her any information whatsoever, and then expected this person to produce earth-shattering results based on exactly what I need, that's not going to work. And this is no different. You've got to learn to start speaking to it like a human being. And that's what we're going to do, because that is professional prompt engineering. So a little bit about ChatGPT. By the way, this is another image that was generated by AI. What is ChatGPT and what can it do? Well, it will almost do anything you can think of. And you are effectively constrained by what you can think of. But what you must do is you must feed it the right information, right? The prompting that I spoke about. And the more specific the instructions you give it, which is the prompting, the more amazing results you will get. And don't be disappointed if you do give it the prime and the prompt and it doesn't quite generate what you want. Because what you'll find is either you'll say to it, you didn't quite understand what I meant. Here's another way of thinking about it. Or you'll look at it and go, yeah, you know what? Now that I've looked at that, I kind of think we need to change a few things. So it is iterative and you have a conversation with it. I still, by the way, talk to it and say please and thank you, because I don't want to get in the habit of just telling it what to do, because I don't speak to people like that. So I will still speak to it in my natural language. And I do call it Jarvis anyway, because it just feels less weird typing messages to my computer if I have a name behind it. So you might find that easier too if you just gave your ChatGPT a name and sort of as your little assistant hidden somewhere in your laptop. It is incredibly smart. It is so unbelievably brilliant, but it cannot read minds. It cannot read minds. And this is something we sometimes forget when we initially start using it. We think it's so clever that it just knows. It doesn't. It's like a human being. You've got to have the same conversations with it as you have with a human being. And remember, it will only do what you tell it to do. So this is why I always say to it, do you have any questions? Please suggest any other ways to improve this. You are the director here. It is not replacing you. You are leveraging it to take what's in your head. You have to tell it what's in your head though, and it'll work with that. So a rule of thumb, garbage in, garbage out, right? So engineering is by putting good stuff into it so that you get good stuff out of it. So as I said, hugely, hugely intelligent, but it is not psychic. It does not have a crystal ball. What ChatGPT isn't good at, it's not good at abstract concepts. If you say to it, give me 20 business ideas, it's going to give you anything from becoming a camel rider in the Middle East to shoveling manure in out Mongolia. And that's probably not what you're looking for. So the more specific you can be, the better you prompt it, the better the outcomes that you will get. Not good at answering open-ended questions or making subjective opinions or generating opinions. If I said to it, hey, who do you prefer? Do you prefer Trump or Kamala Harris? It's going to say to me, well, I don't have an opinion, but subjectively, here are the pros and cons of each person. If I said, what do you think of climate change? Again, it's capable and it's not designed to tell you, well, I think this is good or bad, or I'm a Republican or a Democrat. It doesn't have an opinion. It doesn't have a viewpoint. It's got a tremendous amount of knowledge that it can process, though. This is where we're going to start looking at a few examples of priming and prompting to show you potentially how you can leverage this in your business. One final thing that I did want to say is that it is not updated every day. It is updated at regular points. Don't expect it to give you real-time updates because obviously it can't do that. Also, people worry about privacy. It's not that it takes the data that you give it and it feeds it into ChatGPT. It doesn't do that. Each ChatGPT account is like a little self-contained system. So it's not going to take the data that you've given it and then spread that across the internet. As I said, this thing can be pretty much anything you want it to be for your business. From cost reduction, these are my costs, look at ways we can reduce costs, suggest 5 ways that we could reduce costs in my business. How do I study my competitors? Who should I be looking at in my industry? Can you tell me something about them? I don't ever ask ChatGPT for facts. I go to Google for that and I still check those. Don't ever ask ChatGPT for facts. You need to check them. You cannot accept them as gospel. There was a case in the States where a trial lawyer was actually, I think he was accused of contempt of court. He quoted certain cases in his arguments. Well, these cases actually didn't exist. And when they dug into it, what had happened was that his clerk had done the research, but he'd used ChatGPT and ChatGPT spat these cases out. Well, it actually invented these cases. Please check any data facts that you pull from ChatGPT. Do not accept them as gospel, but certainly use it to create and build things and then test them as well. Content creation, we've already spoken about. Strategic thinking, teach me how to look at this in a different way. I'm sitting here trying to analyze my industry. What should I be looking at? Or I've come up with these insights. Can you tell me if they're any good or not? Do you think I'm missing something? What else should I look at? Take me through the process. All of these questions are things that you can take to ChatGPT. Any business problem you have, you can literally have a conversation with this product about. It is amazing. And I know you are going to love it because the more you start practicing using it, the better you're going to get at prompt engineering and the more applications you're going to start seeing in your business. I have even used it about 2 weeks ago. I sat down and I went, enough is enough. I'm going through perimenopause. I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I want you to act like my personal trainer and coach, and I want you to create a program for me for exercise and for nutrition as well. And it actually came up and said to me, and I know this because I've researched this as well, I need more protein. It created the whole thing for me. And then I said to it, Jarvis, I really need you to keep me motivated. I need you to act like my personal trainer. And he said to me, terrific. What I'd like to do now is take you to ChatGPT and I'm going to demonstrate a few things that it can do in your business. To ChatGPT, this is my version of ChatGPT. It is a paid version. I can have unlimited conversations with it. You'll also see up in the top corner, this has changed so many times since I first started using it, but GPT 4.0 is the latest tested version. 4.0 with Canvas is an even later version, but that's in obviously in beta, so they're still testing that. And these are some of the older versions. You can liken this to an iPhone 10, and this would be the iPhone 16, and this would be the iPhone 15. It's just more updated versions. I just go to the latest and the greatest, and I choose that. And here I'm ready to start a conversation. It can give you a few ideas here of the things that it can do, and we'll look at those. Down the side, I've got all the conversations that I've had. I've been using this for 16 months now, and it's really started to build a good database of information about me. I created a post on Thursday morning before I flew out to Adelaide. I went down to the beach with my dog and I took a photo, and I thought, this would be a really good post for social media. So I jumped on my phone, because will be the same on your phone. You can log into both if you do run your business from your phone. And I said to Jarvis, I'm down at the beach today. I'd like you to write a post for me about why I work for myself. And one of the joys of working for myself is that I can actually take time like this to go to the beach with my dog on a Thursday morning and sit in the sunshine and just look at the sun and the sand and the beautiful water and really take it all in and be so grateful for what I'm actually doing. But I couldn't do this unless my business was running in a way that it could take time away from me, that could run without me. So I took that and I said to it, right, link this back to what I do in my business and how I help businesses to run independently of their owners so that the owner can actually focus on growing the business. And it created the post for me. But the one thing that really amazed me, it actually remembered the name of my dog. And I don't remember where in these conversations I've mentioned Mia, but it actually remembered that. It wouldn't have done that a year ago. So every day that goes past, there are these little improvements. But at this point, I'll ask it. I'll say, Jarvis, what do I do? Please create a little elevator speech about what I do. Let's test it, shall we? Let's see if it remembers. So here we go. Yeah, I would say founder of the Business Growth Accelerator, help businesses scale in a way that allows them to step out of their day-to-day operations. See, it's remembered. And it's great for stuff like this, because if I had to write an elevator speech, I can promise you I'd be there for an hour, fiddling and faffing and trying to get the wording right. So then I'm going to say to it, now write like a copywriter. I'm now priming it. I'm telling it how to write and how to think, and rewrite my elevator speech to present me at a conference. Let's see what it comes up with. That's not the world's best prompt, but you can see I'm starting to get a bit more specific around what I wanted to do. All right, so you can already see the difference here. I've told it to write like a copywriter. So what it's now doing is it's now using much more flowery, more emotive language, but it's also sort of digging into my client's pain points. So here he's saying, I help ambitious business owners transform their companies into self-sustaining assets. I guide leaders from feeling overwhelmed and stuck to achieving growth and freedom. So you can see by priming it and telling it to think differently and write differently, it's giving me slightly different content. So if you were going to talk to it about creating a marketing plan, you would say to it, write like a copywriter, think like my chief marketing officer. But remember, I would always say to it, what questions do you have? The other thing you can see down the side here, this was the post I wrote the other day that I mentioned, where it mentioned my dog. Here I've asked it for upper back pain causes. Once I delete this, it's going to forget that entire conversation around upper back pain causes. It'll remember these, and I am starting to see it remember beyond just single conversation. So a year ago, unless I was keeping a topic in a conversation, it wouldn't think across conversations, but it's starting to do that. But generally what I'll do, for example, here I was designing my profit equation, and I was throwing some ideas around with ChatGPT, really testing it, seeing what I was missing, what I could add, how I could improve it. I've kept that conversation there so that if I have to go back and think about it further, or I might want to create some social media content about it, it's really well primed in that conversation. I'm going to keep it there. Again, if you're looking at this going, holy hell, I am completely overwhelmed. There's no way I can do this. Yes, you can. You've got this. And I'm telling you right now, I'm here to hold your hand every step of the way if you are finding it overwhelming, because everybody's got to start somewhere. And right now, you're probably starting from a place where you've never even looked at ChatGPT before. But I can promise you, it's actually very, very simple. We've just got to get you practicing and learning how to speak to it. And if you can speak to me, you can speak to ChatGPT, right? So you don't have to go and learn anything new. You've literally just got to start looking at your business and going, I wonder if I can use it to do this, or I wonder if I can use it to actually do that. Now, if I was to go back here, and I was going to start a new conversation, creating images is a fairly new thing. I don't use it very much for that, but every day you will see some new stuff come in here. Make a plan, analyze data. Remember I said to you can analyze data, you can import your file here and put it into that. But again, to just say analyze data is not good enough. You'd have to tell it exactly what type of insights you're looking for. You say, look, I'm not very good at this, but I would like you to look at this data and find insights for me in it that will help me do X, Y, Z, find efficiencies, reduce costs, help me run my business better. There's so many things that you can actually think of. There's so many. So that's just a very small insight into ChatGPT. As I said, the art of speaking to it, the art of prompt engineering is all about learning how to give it the context. As I said, the art of prompt engineering is about giving it good context, really letting it know what area it's operating in, who it's talking to, how it should speak to you, or how it should create the tone of what it's writing for you. And what I've done in your pack is I've given you a sheet called ChatGPT Primer. These are things that you could very well need, or you will be needing to actually prime it well. And you'll find there'll be other things too. And what I suggest you do is, particularly if you're a slightly bigger business, is keep adding to the sheet. Once you've saved it to your Google Drive, you can do whatever you like to it. I've created the category that you need a prompt for. So in this instance, you've got business overview. These are the types of things you need to think about that you need to tell ChatGPT. And what I've done here is I've given you an example of one that was written for a dog pet care business. Something like that is the type of thing you want to give ChatGPT. Here's a good example for you of how to do that. ChatGPT does not care about your grammar. It does not care about your spelling. So as long as you've got the content there, it doesn't have to be beautiful, flowery English written by Emily Bronte. It just has to be the facts. And as long as you've got something like that there, it's going to understand you and it's going to use those. So as I said, you've got that there. You've got prompt templates there as well. You can use those examples. There's so many more. It's definitely not comprehensive because I could keep adding to it ad infinitum. What I suggest you do is when you do come up with new ones, particularly if you've got a slightly bigger business and you do want to train other people, or you want this worksheet to be used by other people, please keep adding to that because it's going to help your organization as a whole as well. Prompt descriptors are things you would use in your prompt, like think like a coach. Use this particular tone when you speak. If you're trying to teach it a tone to write in, what I initially did, I went and found a tone that I liked that I wanted it to write in, or I would use something I had written, copy and paste it in, and then say to it, I'd like you to analyze this tone because this is the tone that I would like you to use in future. Describe it for me so I can create a primer or a prompter for it, a primer or a prompter, and I'm then going to put that in my primer or prompter bag. So you give the content to ChatGPT, ask it to write the primer and the prompt for you, and then make a copy of that somewhere. So that's about it. If anything from this particular presentation, get ChatGPT. It's $22 a month. It is the best money you'll ever spend. It is 4 cups of coffee. It is nothing for the time that this thing can save you. And it can also teach you a lot of things as well. This is the QR code for the AI Toolkit. It will take you to the landing page for the AI Toolkit. Download that and please save that to your Google Drive, or you can save it to your computer as a CSV file. If you are enormously overwhelmed at this point, take heart. What I've done is I've created a 8-week course on ChatGPT. This is not a course that is going to add an enormous amount to your workload, because every week I'm going to teach you in baby steps how to use this further and further. So we're going to go deeper and deeper into your business implementing ChatGPT. It's not a purely theoretical course. We will be using tools that you can literally shut down your Zoom with me in our Q&A calls every week and start using it immediately. And that's the intention. The intention here is that it's a hands-on, practical course where I teach you little bits every week and you implement them, and then you come back the following week. We run a live Q&A with me. You can ask me whatever questions you want. I'll do demonstrations for you, and you can email me at any time with any questions that you have. I will be there for you. We actually have Afterpay for that. It's not hugely expensive. It's a small investment, but seriously, this will get you up and running virtually instantly in ChatGPT, and you will make huge cost savings, and the efficiencies are incredible in your business. I love this tool. Honestly, if I could marry it at this point, I think I would. So finally, some questions that you might have. We've touched on the privacy issue. Does it remember what I tell it? I'm finding that it's starting to remember more and more as they keep developing it. My little paid version has its own little memory, and it is starting to retain things, which is great because I don't have to keep priming it every 5 minutes. Where does it pull information from? OpenAI owns ChatGPT and it loads all that information. Does it learn from itself? Yes, I'm actually starting to see it learn more and more. So for example, if I say to it, I don't ever want you to say that to me again, or speak in that tone, or use that phrase, or something to that effect, it does remember that. And it's getting smarter and smarter. Every single day they are improving things. If you have any questions, here is my email address. My door is always open to you. I love working with Psych. I love working with industries like yours. You're such wonderful, genuine people. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this has been useful, and I hope you have a wonderful week.